I want to teach you a 6-step uncommon approach to landing a great job. And this approach can be used by anyone from college students to people that are currently unemployed, or maybe someone that wants to make a career transition. So I know what it feels like to be searching for a job and not getting any traction. A couple years ago, after my wife and I found out we were having a baby, I wanted to jump out of being an entrepreneur and go into corporate America, just to have more predictability and stability in my life, less stress. And I know this is definitely the opposite direction that a lot of people tend to go, but that process for me was really demoralizing and so much harder than I ever thought it could be. And when I was over halfway through with my MBA, I applied to over 100 jobs, and for at least 50 of them, I'd written these really thoughtful cover letters, and I found out the names of the hiring manager, and I addressed the cover letters directly to them. I then went on and friended them on LinkedIn, and I also spent a bunch of my time going to all these networking events. And for me, I actually really like going to networking events. By nature, I'm a pretty social guy, and so how many calls I got? I got 0 calls. So going into this process, I felt really confident initially that my chances of landing a great job were really high. I had founded a company that grew to multi-million-dollar sales. I was about to graduate with an MBA, and so I thought that this should be really easy, but it definitely was not the case, and it was way harder than I thought. So I started doing the math, and I thought, why did I get 0 calls? Like, what is going on? And I started looking at some of the stats, and I realized that it didn't really matter how good my background was, because according to Glassdoor.com, every corporate job opening attracts an average of about 250 resumes, but only about 4 to 6 people will even get a call or for an interview. And that's less than half of 1% of people that are getting a call. So now some companies might be a little lower in the amount of applicants. There was an article in Forbes that said it was more like about 100 applicants per job, but even 100 resumes is a pretty staggering number. So I thought that there has to be a better way to get noticed and go around all of this competition. All these people go through the same funnel just like I did. They find a job online and they think, oh my gosh, I'm perfect fit for this job. And then you apply and you wait and you wait and you wait some more, and you never hear anything. But what most people don't know is that between 70 and 80% of jobs are not posted online at all. 70 to 80% are not posted online. And it took me about 6 to 8 months of refining a process that specifically targeted the 70 to 80% of jobs that had little competition. I knew that if I could just get an initial conversation going with people and get around that competition, I would be a heck of a lot more successful. So the process I came up with yielded a flood of opportunities and offers, and that's what I want to share with you in this video. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to make a list of companies that you want to work at and identify the roles that you're interested in at these companies. The second thing is I want you to go on LinkedIn and I want you to search for people that are in these companies that have the title that you're interested in, the title that you want. I want you to look at their backgrounds. You could search for something in LinkedIn like Facebook Marketing Manager, for example. And I don't just want you to search for one person. I want you to find a few people and see what their collective backgrounds are, and then compare them to your background. If you want to be a software engineer at Google, for example, and everyone that you found has a title, with that title went to Stanford, and you have community college on your resume, and nobody you know works for that company, it's it's going to be almost next to impossible to get an interview there. So I want you to be realistic with the list that you ultimately generate. Okay, number 3. Now that you have a realistic list of people that seem really interesting, I want you to determine which of those people have some similarities you can identify, and then add those people to the top of your list. This is going to take a little research on your part. You could see if they're on Facebook, and if they are, find out what they're interested in. Do they have a blog? Maybe they have an Instagram page, and all these things are going to help you get a better picture of who these people are and what they're interested in. Okay, number 4, send these targeted people messages through LinkedIn, email, or both if you prefer. And ultimately, this message is not about you or your job search. It's all about them. If this person is local, your goal is going to be to meet them for coffee. If this person is out of state, your goal is to get them on the phone with you. So here's the template I use, and I'm going to include it in the description below. You say something like, "Hi, XYZ, my name is John. I'm 3 months away from completing my MBA at CU Denver." And then this is where you insert either option number 1 or option number 2. Option number 1 is if this person is out of state, you'd say, "I'd love to hear your story and understand what you do over the phone." And then option number 2, if this person is local, you'd say, "I'd love to hear your story and understand what you do for coffee, my treat." You go on to say that, "I'm sure you're very busy, but if you had some time within the next week or so to chat about the culture, the work-life balance, etc., it would be greatly appreciated as I try to narrow down the possible roles that align with my interest in the near future. I promise to only take 30 minutes of your time." And then you can say, "I look forward to speaking with you, regards," and then your name. So if you're a student, this is probably the single easiest thing in the world because people love helping students. If you're not a student, that's okay. You can remove the first line about being a student, and at the end you can say something like, "It would be greatly appreciated as I try to narrow down some of the options that I've been considering for my own career transition." Number 5, when you meet, make the conversation all about the other person. If you have common interests, kick off the conversation about those interests and try to make a connection right off the bat. Find out everything about their story and what they do and what makes them tick. This process is definitely going to feel a little awkward at first, as it did for me, but if you're genuine, I promise you it always goes well. All right, number 6, this is definitely the bread and butter. I call this part the switch. Eventually during the conversation, the other person is going to ultimately be interested in knowing more about you. And as you describe your story and your background, I want you to keep it casual and really talk about your strengths. This is not a time to express that you saw a job on their jobs board and that you want to apply, or it's not a time to ask for any kind of favors. This person is naturally going to be thinking of this in their own mind because it's in people's nature to genuinely want to help. And here's a little secret that I alluded to in the title of the video. Many people working for mid-size to large organizations, they get a pretty good size referral bonus for helping find top talent. It's to their benefit to identify you as a potential fit in their organization. And if they refer you to a role, they often get a bonus that could be as small as $500, but could be up to $10,000 or more, depending on the type of role that you're looking for. So this person sitting across the table from you in a chance encounter might very well be banking on making some money on you. So there's a couple things that can happen after this meeting or during this meeting if you really made a genuine connection to the other person. This other person could tell you about an upcoming opening or something that's maybe only been posted internally. The second thing is that they could think that you're way stronger than the other guy in that role, the other guy or gal in that role, and they could hire you instead and fire the other person. The next thing that could happen is they could create a position for you because you are way stronger and they can use your strengths. The next thing that could happen is they could connect you with someone else in another organization that might be looking for someone just like you. And maybe nothing happens, and that's totally fine too. If nothing happens, you can simply close with something like, "Thanks so much for a meeting. I really enjoyed getting to know you. Getting to know your story and your perspective really helped me a lot." You could say something casual like, "Keep me in mind if there's any future roles that come up with you in your organization. Your company seems really awesome," and just leave the conversation at that, because ultimately you never know when you might be able to lean on this person or lean on this person down the road. The point of all this is that you're going to create way more traction by meeting with individuals than you ever would by simply just submitting your resume to the top of a pile of over 200 people. You really never know where these meetups will go, but what's the worst that can happen? Really nothing. Ultimately, you have a connection that might just tell you about an amazing role that you never thought about, that isn't listed anywhere, with no competition, and that is the best case scenario. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for a job or you know anyone looking for a job, pass the video along. I hope it'll help them. And if you like the video, hit that like button below and subscribe. I got a lot more great videos coming, and thanks so much for watching.